This conference will now be recorded.
All right, it's 7 o'clock and I'm going to open the John Day City Council meeting on Tuesday, July 11th, 2023. All council is present. And please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the of the States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, and all right, I have a couple added. I need to update on the cleaning position and then also about fairgrounds help. So I'll add those to the end. Is there any other additions to the agenda as presented?
I have one.
Okay.
I have an update on a motion that was made a long time ago, clarification on something that happened last week.
Okay. I'll put you at the end.
Thank you.
All right, so do I have a motion to accept the amended agenda as presented?
I can make that a motion.
Ron makes the motion. Do I have a second from Sherry? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, approved. All right, guys, we have a ton of minutes. Sorry, but we got caught up. So I hope everybody's had time to read them. I'm going to start with the oldest ones and ask for motions and then go from there. So we have the 6-6 one that I just sent to you guys today that is amended because we forgot the URA budget piece on those minutes. And so Sarah fixed those. So we need to get a motion to approve the 6-6 amended minutes as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the 6 minutes as amended, did you say?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor of approving the amended changes on the 6-6 minutes, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, passes. And then the 6-7 special meeting. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the 6/7/23 special meeting minutes as presented.
Katrina makes the motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Sherry seconds. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right,
Heather?
yeah, go ahead.
Excuse me.
No, go ahead.
With it being on the consent agenda, do we really need to go through each of them individually?
Well,
or
since
do we?
there was changes to the one, Jeremy said to do them individually.
Okay.
And there's a change coming to one of them because there was something missed. So normally, no, we could just approve the consent agenda, but since it was an amended minutes and then we have a change coming to the council ones, then yes. But no, normally we could just say approve the consent agenda and move on, but. Okay, so let's do the 227 URA.
6/27 URA.
Sorry, 627.
I'll make a motion to approve the 6/27 URA budget hearing minutes.
Katrina makes the motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Dave seconds. Almost with the wrong person. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, and the 627 council, we have a change.
It's agenda item number 11. Point A, down at the very bottom. I'd like to have added that I did leave the room.
Oh, I have the wrong one. That's fine. I got it right here. So item number 11, point A, if I put in parentheses and Reiniger left the room, you're good?
Item 12 also states that on July 28th, there will be no city manager, and that should be changed.
Item 12, July should be June. Okay, anything else? So with those changes, do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of June 27th, 2023 with changes, amendments.
Sherry makes the motion. Do I hear a second? Katrina seconds. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Passes. All right. Public comment. This is the time where if you have a public comment that is not on the agenda, now is your time to speak. Please try to limit it to 3 to 5 minutes and raise your hand if you would like to speak. That's not on the agenda.
Do we need to approve the consent agenda?
Oh, sorry. Just kidding. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent
Thank
agenda.
you, Katrina.
I'll second.
All in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented, say aye. All right, so now public comment. It's not on the agenda?
Nope,
Okay, step on up.
I don't think.
There's an agenda back there if you don't have one.
Okay.
So state your name and city, please.
Yep, Cam Marlowe, Sunday. So I used to own, I don't know what the address is. It's a property that's right next to the beautiful, church on the corner of, Main Street and Bridge Street. That's that beautiful church. And then right next to that is that long building that the city owns. I sold that to the city. I don't know if anyone knows
That the
that.
Cyber Mill owns.
Yeah, that one. Did I hear that that is not going to be used?
Incorrect. So Grant County Digital is disbanding, but Grant County Digital, John Day will still own their cyber mill like they do. And we will still plan on moving forward. We are still sitting 18 months sitting on someone's desk for our $1.8 million in federal money.
Perfect. I'm happy that it's still gonna be used for.
So Grant County Digital is, it was a decision of their board last month to disband because all their other projects are close to completion. Like they still have some fiber work to happen and stuff like that. But like the cyber mill in Seneca is complete and this one is just lingering because we're waiting for a desk approval basically. So they don't have any funds to keep paying or have any need to keep paying an administrator. And that person's contract was up at the end of June. So the board has moved on. It'll probably be a 90 to 120 day process to disband because the county and us and Seneca have to all agree on who takes what and who gets what. And then they're also speaking to the ESD, I believe, about who's gonna man and control the fiber. So there's some pieces to it, but no, we are still planning on moving forward.
I thought that it was going to be sold back and I was just wanted to go on the record that because I sold that, not because I wanted to sell it, because I wanted to do something good for the community, that if it wasn't gonna be used, I wanted to buy it back for what I sold it for. Because I think I gave the city a really good deal on it.
Yep, no, it is still in the process. It's just sitting, waiting for someone to approve.
Let's do something good with it.
Yeah.
I just thought you were gonna part ways with
No.
it and I would buy it back for what I sold it.
And we did have our public works guys go take down the awning because it was a safety concern. And then Digit McCracken is putting together kind of a coming soon banner that they're gonna put up there with like some future pictures so people do know what's going on there, but
Great.
yeah. So yes, Cyber Mill is still planned
Still
for that
gonna happen.
building. Yes,
Super, thank you.
no problem, absolutely. Any other public comments? Anyone online? Hearing none. We will begin the public hearing for ordinance number 23-903-03. This is the second reading for the R3 ordinance that we read at the prior meeting. So at this time, I will open the public hearing.
Madam Mayor,
Mhm.
I am going to recuse myself due to a conflict of interest. Due to one of the buildings that I occupy is on the list.
Okay,
See you later.
we'll let you know. Okay, do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Katrina makes the motion, Dave seconds. All in favor of opening the public hearing for ordinance number 23-903-03?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is open. Staff report, I don't really have much change. There's nothing to change. We do have our meeting coming up on the 18th. All councils, one already has happened, but the other ones are all happening this week and should move forward. And so the 18th will be our first official meeting with all 4 cities. And at that time is kind of where we're going to decide administration wise what the plan is, so the at-large person what the plan is and all that kind of stuff. I've shared the agenda and everything on our website, and I'll keep sharing those agendas for anybody who wants to join in. They're virtual. They are in Burns, and so no other staff report to give. At this time will be public testimony. If we have any, please keep it to 3 minutes. And yes, sir. Step on up, state your name and city, please.
Bob Ferrell, John Dave. I believe this is another bad decision by this city administration. This is a green-born Ponzi scheme, like using taxpayer money to benefit the chosen few. Note the same contractors that have borrowed URA money are on this R3 wish list of the city's liking. Let's bring up another scheme that was brought on by this last administration, the Community Development Fund. I call it the Wish and Slush Fund in 2018, I believe. It was supposed to only spend $600,000 to get this fund started. This fiscal year budget couldn't come up with $20,000 for the county sheriff's department, yet was able to allocate $100,000 from the general fund to support this community development fund. Another failing greenborn idea. While the R3 will not cost anything today, down the road it will. The cost percentage paragraph in the contract assumes some debt for administration in the future, and at one of the R3 meetings, the discussion was about borrowing more money to infuse the program. I think the city needs to take care of the problems created by the past administration and hold over councilors first before getting involved in anything else.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any others? Anyone online?
Actually, I got a question.
Sure, step on up. This is public comment on this, so
Thank
state
you.
your name and
Donald
city.
John Day.
Thank you.
So I have a question with the R3. The board is not complete, is that correct?
This is public comment, so we won't be answering anything.
Okay, so as I understand it, the board is not complete. And yet there is somebody who's been advising on R3. If they're doing it voluntarily, that's great. If they expect to get paid for it, I don't understand it.
Thank you.
That's all I have to say.
Okay. Any others? That's under gruesome. We don't have anything to shut. It's fine. Any others?
Vitamin D.
All right, closing the public testimony. R3 is, I can let you know, no one is currently hired for R3. No one is getting paid. No one is being compensated. The board is complete with who each council has selected to be their board member representation, but not all the councils up until this week have passed their ordinance because they had the waiting of everything like that. But everyone's councils have selected their board member representation, and no one is being paid or compensated for R3 right now because R3 doesn't even have a bank account. So No one's being compensated because there's no bank account to pay anybody with. So, so at this time, I'm going to close the public hearing at 7:15. Council discussion, questions, concerns?
I think we beat it to death.
Yes, we have. Yeah.
Number 8, emergency declaration. I don't believe it's necessary for the immediate preservation of peace, health, and safety of the city's citizens. Tell me if it is. How does it affect health, safety, and peace?
Well, because I guess in a general sense, the sooner it's established, the sooner some of the projects can start being done, and some of the projects are safety issues because they deal with streets.
This is for housing, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, but it's the housing coming from, there's the streets coming from the housing developments to pave them and bring them up to city standards. I mean, that's part of John Day's projects. So that is a public safety issue, in my opinion.
That shouldn't be the developer's cost?
No, it's city-owned streets. The city owns these streets and right-of-ways, not the ones going into the subdivision, the ones that connect the subdivisions from our streets, like coming down off of Valley View. That one that comes down off of Valley View onto Patterson. That's a city street. We own that. The one that comes off from Charlotte Heights down to 7th Street. That's a city street. We own that. We own the right of way and everything on it.
But there's not going to be any houses built on those streets?
Not on those streets, no.
But next to the streets. Okay, just
But they serve those. They're collector streets that serve those.
Any other questions, concerns, comments? I would entertain a motion to adopt.
Do we have to read it again?
Oh, yes. Ordinance number 2390303, an ordinance approving, ratifying, and declaring the City of John Day's intent to A, create a certain housing and public improvement intergovernmental entity commonly known as Regional Rural Revitalization, R3 Strategies Consortium, in accordance with ORS 190.85, and B, City of John Day's admission into the intergovernmental entity and declaring an emergency.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 23-903-03.
David makes the motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
And we will go around for roll call vote. David?
Aye.
Katrina?
Aye.
Chris?
No.
Ron?
No.
Mayor? Aye. Motion passes 3-2. I would entertain a motion to close.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for ordinance number 23-903-03.
At 7:19. Katrina makes the motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Chris seconds. All in favor of closing the public hearing? Say aye.
Aye.
All right, closes.
She outside?
Yeah, I think so.
Good for me.
Oh, Sherry, we're done. Step on in. All right, next item on the agenda is city manager update. So we had the interview last week. I got a call, then I called Dave, and Dave and I discussed it, and we have an opportunity to bring in the gentleman that we interviewed last week for a 3-month employee contract with negotiations to sign on permanently, either in that 3 months. If it happens early, that's fine, but it will be a 3-month minimum. And then at that time, we can do a review with him and everybody. He is requesting a salary of $135,000. That is the going rate, I'm told, for city managers. Dave and I had a good discussion about it. It's obviously more than we budgeted for, but I've talked to Anna, and hopefully with bringing in a permanent manager in the building, we will save on some contractors that we're currently using, as well as our attorney that we're using on a lot of things. This gentleman comes with planning and all that kind of stuff background. So we'll probably have to do a supplemental budget to move some money from places, but it can be done. But we had to bring it to you guys since it was only budgeted for what it was budgeted for, which was 110, 120.
Well, I thought originally she was gonna put 120 in it.
But she said she put 110.
But it might have been a little lower that she ended up doing.
So discussion, thoughts, if this is something that council wants to do, then we would contract up or write up a employee agreement, and he would start hopefully, I would say by the beginning of August is when he could be here. Discussions?
Not any sooner.
Maybe. He's hoping. I'm gonna call him hopefully this evening, so he's gonna pull his RV over here because there's no rentals. We need housing. So, yes.
Mayor, how come this wasn't taken to the administrative committee?
Because it was put up and I called one of my administration committee members, and then we decided to bring it to council because it's a council decision.
I know, but I wasn't informed.
Okay.
I'm part of the administrative committee. I thought that was part of the administrative committee. Just wanted to go on record. I had no idea about this, and I didn't approve any salaries or anything.
Well, nobody has. That's why we're bringing it to you.
Usually the administrative committee makes a recommendation.
Not always, but sometimes, yes.
That's how committees work.
Okay.
There was discussion last time at our last meeting about having a transition plan. Is that in the works too already as part of this process?
Yes. Yeah, I've talked to some different staff, and then I also spoke to him and Greg about a transition plan. And the thought is he comes over here, sits down with office staff, meets all office staff, finds out what they do, how they do it, all that kind of stuff. We go introduce him to Casey. Casey takes him around to all the public works stuff. Aaron takes him around all the projects. Dawn introduces him to the fire side. So yes, we're gonna do much better job of transitioning this person in and showing them, introducing them, and making sure that they ask the questions of the current staff and make sure that they have those open communications with current staff about what they do. And then I'm sure myself and Dave will have some meetings with him and stuff like that on what we've been doing and how we've been handling some things and all that kind of stuff. So yes, much better transition than what we had with the prior one. And that was my bad. I didn't know how to transition an interim. And so we lived and learned, and we're going to do it differently this time. And he's all Greg thought that was a great idea.
I have only one request. I mean, I'm totally for this. I want to get somebody in there. However, if we find that there is a problem, if someone finds there is a problem, could they please let the rest of the council know so we don't go ahead and ask for something that we shouldn't be asking for, such as extending a contract on somebody that wasn't doing a good job?
So we will have, basically the way that this contract will be written up is at the end of his 3 months, we'll have like a small review like we would with anything, and that will be done in executive session. You guys will do your review like you did prior management wise. You'll submit it, we'll review it with him, and at that time, if we and him want to make this a permanent thing, we make it a permanent thing. If it's not a fit for us or it's not a fit for him, then no harm, no foul. Also in this contract will state that if at any time we as council feel like this is not a good fit, or he as the city manager feels like it is not a good fit, we can also end the contract early.
So, again, just for, because I'm a weirdo that likes to know the things ahead of time, so how do we go about that process? So, I mean, how would we then say, because that seems like an executive committee, if we're having a conversation about somebody that's on staff. And so how do we say that to the whole council? Like,
We
how
would have to call an
Just
executive.
request an executive.
And we can do that with an employee. We cannot do it with a contractor. That was
Yes.
the difference
Yes.
between Rick and hiring this person as an employee. The law didn't allow us to do it with a contractor. This person will actually be an employee. We won't be under that. We had to do his in a public meeting,
Correct.
which was not fair or would not be right. And that was one of the reasons that it wasn't done at the time. But this way, because it's an employee, we can actually hold an executive session to
Discuss the person.
review the performance of an employee.
And he'll also have all acting managers. I mean, like Dave and I will take our authority away. He will become full city manager. He will have hiring, firing, all city manager privileges. So that will be taken away from Dave and myself if this goes through. And then we go back to being council president and mayor, and he runs our city and with our direction. The way it's supposed to be. Yes.
Is there a penalty if we terminate him early?
There will be no payout. He will be paid for what the hours that he worked. The attorney and Greg both are familiar with writing these contracts up. They have a document basically ready. So both Greg and the attorney and myself have been discussing back and forth on this. And so it's a common thing right now. Baker City is actually on a temporary 3-month interim right now with their city manager. So some cities around us are doing the same thing.
So my only other question would be, did all the other applicants pull their applications?
They would, so Greg contacted all of them, and I believe he said 3 of them would like us to hold on to them in case we reopen it in 3 months or right sooner.
And well, to me, at some point, I mean, I think it's necessary that we bring this gentleman on. I think he's qualified to do what we need him to do.
Yeah.
But at some point in time, even while he's here, I would still like to at least see the top 2
Yeah.
or top 3 candidates to give us, that option.
Even if they weren't willing to interview, you still want to see them?
Well, I'd like to at least see their applications.
I can ask Greg for that,
And
yeah.
I don't know that it's necessary that we ask for interviews at this time, but I think the council should at least be able
Okay.
to see their interviews to see if somebody out there is as qualified or maybe better.
I can ask Greg, yeah. Yes,
Since the council hires and fires the city manager, will there be goals and objectives in place before he's hired for him, what the council wants to see in that 3-month period?
well, I would assume we're gonna give him some direction like we always have with city managers.
Well, but I mean, what does the council want to see, for what goals should he be able to accomplish in 3 months?
Well, what are some of those goals that you have in mind?
That's what I want to discuss it.
So discuss it. So what are those? I mean, like, I'm asking you, do you want to discuss them right now, or do you want to bring them next meeting?
Well, I'd like to evaluate our staff,
Okay,
a total evaluation.
okay,
Make sure that he works with the community and be forthright and gets along well with not only our city council, but with other city councils and the county. Those are some.
so some of those things are in the review when we do our city manager review, is staff performance reviews and public relations stuff is already in our city manager. I can send out the city manager review and we can look that over if we want prior to kind of see if there's some things we want to tweak and edit on that.
And then I think it's fair that he gets a copy of that too.
Absolutely. Yep.
So that he understands that at 3 months, this is what we're gonna be looking at.
I mean, I feel like, I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel like he's very easy to approach, really easy to talk to. I don't think we're gonna have some of the communication barriers that we had prior to even prior management before this term type of a thing. So I think we're gonna have, I mean, all we can do is try, but I think he's highly, highly qualified for some of our big projects coming up as well. He's done some of those in the past, and so, and he's eager to get here.
Well, the other thing that you have to realize is that we just got through paying somebody that kind of money
Yep,
for part-time work,
part-time.
for 3 or 4 months. I mean, at 10 grand a month, that works out to 120, but you take 30 hours a week versus 40 or 50 hours a week that a normal city manager would be working on salary. We were paying somebody that kind of money for the last 3 or 4 months.
Well, and prior to that, we were paying a city manager and a contractor. Like, we've been paying these amounts, give or take a few. So it's just, it's a larger amount than was budgeted for, so want this discussion.
But not overcomable.
No.
No.
And if you look at comparable rates around our area, sizes of our town type of a thing, to be competitive, and it's a competitive market right now for city managers, we need to be competitive, and I think he is what we need right now, and I think he will be a good fit.
So you talked to Ann about which budget will come out?
She believes since some of the contract stuff will be lessened, we'll probably have to do a supplemental out of that where those are paid.
Well, and it depends on, there's the thing, it depends on, because the city manager comes out of all funds.
Yeah, he's a spread out like.
So,
multiples.
you know, if he's doing a lot of work with the treatment plant and some of those contractors, more of it can be pulled out of the sewer and that money.
Yeah.
And the same with helping Casey with some of the big water issues that are coming up, well rehabs and stuff like that. Our funds, you know, sitting healthy, so there's money. It's just depending on where he's working.
Yeah.
On how accessible it is.
Yep. Anna did not seem concerned. As conservative as she is with funds, she did not seem concerned.
I was very impressed with his interview.
Yes, I was too.
No, that's true.
Very down to earth, easy to talk to, easy to approach, and answered questions the way we would
Wants to
hope.
be here.
He does want to be here.
That's pretty important. that he
He's
does.
ready to hook his RV up as soon as he can get here, so
I also was impressed with him.
I think he'll fit well with the current staff too, and I think he'll be very helpful with some of the big projects we have coming up with his experience and stuff like that.
Well, I'd make a motion to allow the mayor to work with the city attorney to secure the contract, the public employee contract with him.
David makes the motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second. Oh.
Ooh, who got it? Sherry makes the second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Next one, Sherry, go ahead on your
okay.
added thing.
Dave, you made a statement at the last meeting about the problem with trying to put money aside for the sheriff's department, that you guys, the last council, had voted not to do that. And you didn't
Well-
understand why it was, you know, there was going to be a place for it in the budget, or that it had been planned that there was a place for it in the budget. So I just, because I went back and looked at how that thing all got settled out, and on March 8th of 2022, you made the motion, moved that the city is willing to work with the county and willing to help and pay their share, but not willing to pay the full cost of the 2 to 3 officers on their own. The motion was seconded by Councilor Haverly and passed unanimously. So that's why we,
It was, the motion actually was that we would work with the county on a county-wide solution and pay our fair share of that. That was the motion I made.
well, I'm just reading the,
Well, but that's not
Minutes.
verbatim. That's,
okay, but I have to read what's in the minutes. So I just wanted to let you know why we're trying to go that direction. Okay?
Do you want to also give an update, Sherry? Because you and Ron met with,
Yes, we met with Jim Hampshire. We were unable to meet with, Todd. Thank you. We were unable to meet with Todd. He's not well right now. We tried to get to some sort of solution to what is currently going on with the lack of response to emergency calls. And that people are being told that, we don't respond to that, or we don't respond to calls from John Day because John Day is not paying their fair share. Well, we had a 2-hour discussion. It did go off track a few times, but mostly what we came to was that probably, and this is going to be discussed amongst all the cities, Jim is going to try and get all the cities together to talk about this at once, that probably the fairest solution on this is to bill per 911 call. That way, we don't get dinged for calls that are coming in from West Bench, Screech Alley, places that are outside of city limits. Those are county. They are being included in what they're saying we owe them now. So it's the only, as far as I'm concerned, that seems like a fair way to do it. I know that Prairie City is paying $100,000 to have somebody there for 40 hours a week, full time. If we decide we want to do something like that, that's one thing. But, these other cities that are out there, they are not making that many calls. And they don't expect the sheriff to be out there as much as we'd like them to be here in John Day. So getting them to pay extra because we have to pay extra, I just don't think it's going to work. It's not going to be a good fit for the other counties. But if we charge per 911 call, then it becomes a more balanced expenditure.
Does that look at like the time commitment to responding?
Well, that's something we have to work out because that's going to have to be, there's going to have to be some sort of contract written. There's no
I just
question
am
about that.
thinking you could respond to 4 or 5 calls in John Day at a time that you can respond to a call in Monument.
Mhm.
And so also, am I wrong that our taxes to the county are the
taxes
same as
do.
the taxes to people that don't live in the city of John Day?
Yes. Yeah.
so
And
that's the question, but that was also and then one of the county meetings, he said that 60% of the calls or 45% was John Day calls. But like Dave and I were discussing, a lot of those are outside of our city limits that we don't get tax revenue for. So another piece of this too that I think is important for us to think about is they have budgeted right now 2 open spots plus another 2 coming up. So it's not so much a funding issue right now, it's a finding the personnel issue like everybody else in the state of Oregon with law enforcement. So I think that's an important discussion to have with all the cities as well is we can pay per 911 call, but if you don't have the manpower, it doesn't matter how many monies we give you or how much we give you budgeted or whatever. And that's kind of, I know a discussion that Prairie City's been having too is like, they don't have the coverage because they don't have the manpower and they're thin, they are strapped, they are busy, they are doing the best they can, but they need personnel. And I know that they have a couple in the works possibility, Jim said, but that's the other piece of it that I think we need to think about if we're going to talk down the road about this idea is filling what's currently available budget wise because they have the budget for 4 and it's not filled. So like it's not so much a budget issue, it's a personnel issue. So.
And they're also talking about putting a levy on
They are.
in November.
Yep.
And the issue with paying in a manner like the emergency calls, the 911 calls, paying a portion of that that becomes hard to budget for. And the county can't operate personnel or hire personnel based on a fictitious budget that may not happen.
Right.
Not saying that it's not a fair way to do it, not arguing that point at all. I'm just saying that that would not work for the county in a budget situation, no more than it would have worked for us.
Right.
I think if
We
we,
paid a portion of 911 call outs. When we had the police department, we paid a portion of the police use, we paid a portion of the public use to the 911 dispatch center. But they were funded largely by state, by the 911 fund. So we supplemented that, and they did the same with the ambulance and the hospital and, you know, the sheriff's department and everybody else that they served. But their main budget didn't come from that. Sheriff's department's, you know, budget is, especially if they're talking personnel, it has to be pretty well guaranteed. They can't be hiring someone and then laying them off a month later because the funds didn't come in. So
I agree. Yeah.
just
It's a lot to discuss and
Yeah.
And I don't,
Just throwing this out as an
Yeah.
idea, you know, and that's what we need is feedback.
well, I've never had a problem with law enforcement. I didn't want the city police to go away.
I didn't either.
I just knew that we
Yeah.
couldn't afford them anymore. And so John Day helping to supply law enforcement, I don't have a problem with. My problem is, as a counselor and as a citizen, is I pay the same taxes to the county to provide law enforcement coverage as everybody else in the county does. I pay my share. Of course, somebody that owns
right.
400 million acres is gonna pay a lot more money to the county than I do, but my tax that I pay to the county based on my property is to be used for part of that. So then if my tax that I paid to the city of John Day, if they were gonna provide me specifically with law enforcement, then I have no problem with that. But now if my taxes that I pay to the city of John Day is also going to the county along with the money I pay to the county, then I'm paying twice for law enforcement and I have a problem with that.
Well, that's what I told Jim, because, you know, I told him that everybody pays taxes. Everybody pays county taxes. John Day pays the largest share of the county taxes. Okay, so we do in a way pay extra. We're just trying to get all of the cities to kind of come together and understand why we feel the way we do, why they feel the way they do. You know, we just want to get it out there because there has never been that conversation. It's always been us against them and them against us. And, you know, let's just sit down, have the conversation, figure out where we're all at, try and come up with some sort of fair solution. That's all we want to do. And I just think that that's the best way to do it right now. I mean, we are lacking protection here that we need. We have people that we're getting complaints from that their calls aren't being answered. And some of these are life-threatening situations. That's not right.
Yep. All right.
So-
Yeah, go ahead.
For sure.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that if someone makes a 911 call, we would expect them to make a look at that? Come out, look and see what's going on with that 911 call?
Yeah,
if
I'm
it's
saying that's how
emergency
we,
basis.
if it's an emergency,
And
we
you want
would
it,
base it.
it's so only, people should only call for emergencies.
That's what they're being
Which
told.
is what they should do in the first place.
Well, so I've got a dog that's running loose in the neighborhood and I call 911, we're gonna get charged for that?
We are
Even
gonna
though it's
get
not an
charged.
emergency?
If they respond, yes.
Well, they don't respond, actually, they shouldn't have to do
Well, if they
that.
don't respond, then.
We would get a call, we would get
Yeah.
charged for every call. So neighbor being loud, dog in the street, someone's shooting yes, every single call that gets put out to 911 from John Day, if this happens, would be charged to us, yes.
I will agree with Counselor Holland. I'm in favor of the police force. The only reason we didn't have it is it was put on the ballot at the wrong time. I think people are aware it did pass, but it didn't meet the criteria.
51%.
It didn't meet the 51% votes. So the people in John Day that voted wanted it. So I just want to make sure you're aware of that.
Yep. Step on up. State your
I
name and
have a
city.
counter opinion to Mr. Labart. My name is Tom Olson, John Day. Wrong, down. Get in. There was money for the police. The levy was not necessary. There was money in the COVID funds, there was money in the general funds, and there was money that was applied for by a grant. This is all accurate. This was in the paper. We didn't need a levy. Tax and spend is what they do on the other side of the Cascades. This is not appropriate for here with people who have a hard time making a buck. This was wrong. This was an effort to get rid of the police, in my personal opinion, to push it out on the rest of the county. That's wrong. It didn't need to happen. It shouldn't have happened. We could still have police.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, anything else from safety committee?
Oh, I think that just about covers.
Okay, thank you. I do appreciate you guys meeting with them. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It's a work in progress. Stay tuned, but thank you.
Yeah, the other thing is, we're open to ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody's got an idea, my number's in there.
Okay, awesome. Be careful what you wish for, sir. So cleaning, we got one bid back from a professional service that is out of our budget range. So the thought from Anna and myself and a couple staff was to put it out as a job so that that person is covered under our insurance, because private parties don't carry bond insurance, all that kind of stuff like contractors do. So I can't hire or fire with my thing, so I need council to give the go ahead to hire or put out a job posting for a cleaning position. It would be at $21 an hour, and they believe they can do fire hall and city hall for right around 5 to 6 hours a week. So budget wise, under 600, so that will keep them under the PERS amount and under needing health insurance, because their hours are less than 20 and they're going to be less than the max amount for the year. So Anna and I confirmed all that stuff. So it would just be the hourly wage and the little bit of, stuff that we have to pay, but wouldn't be PERS, wouldn't be health insurance or anything like that. So I just need council to decide if that is something they would like to do, and I can post that job. We can also wait and let the new city manager do this if you would like. It's currently not being cleaned. I don't know, are you still cleaning around here? Don's been doing it out of the kindness of his heart, so we need to thank him so much. But City Hall's contract was up at the end of June, and so I'm fine with waiting too. It could just be a month of touch up your own area type of a thing, or we can get this posted and get it
When it was
going.
posted last time, didn't you have a person that was not bonded or licensed?
Yes,
Apply?
yes.
Why not go to her?
I have to post the job. So we posted it as a contractor, but due to the fact that we have to have them carry their own insurance, it would not be feasible for that person to do it. So Anna thought, since the one business came back that was way out of our budget, Anna thought, well, then let's hire him as an employee, keep him under that 600 hours, all that kind of stuff. And
But in order to do our due diligence, we have to put it out.
Correct.
as an application.
Correct.
Then there would need to be a background check.
no, they'd be an employee, they would be under all of our stuff. They're still going to come in during business hours on Friday mornings is when the cleaning will happen, so they won't have access to City Hall during after hours type of a thing. They'll come in Friday mornings, and that's the best date that the staff thought for early Friday mornings is the less amount of staff, and they believe they can get it done in no time.
I
think there should be a background check. You know, just as a volunteer firefighter, I have to have a background check to come into this building, you know, fight fire, going to other people's houses. But because of the nature of what's up at City Hall, what's here,
So they don't touch desks. So in the contract, just so you guys are aware of what they will actually be cleaning, desks are not touched. So nothing on a desk is moved, nothing on a desk is touched. Floors are done, garbages are emptied, and bathrooms. It's the staff's responsibility to make sure that their desks are clean.
And they wouldn't have access to the building without staff being
Correct.
present.
Staff will be present when they have access to the building. I could see that if we were allowing them access to our building after hours. We do have cameras as well, but I have discussed it with staff and they feel like, if it works for the person, it works for the person. If it doesn't work for that time slot, then they don't apply for the job.
I don't think there's a need to wait to have a city manager so that we can hire a person to clean the bathrooms. I'm sorry. I think you should just post it and let's get it done.
Well, by the time you post it for a couple of weeks,
It's probably
Yeah.
gonna be about the
He'll
time he's
probably be
here.
interviewing him
so
anyway.
if you go ahead and figure out the job duties or job description, get that posted on the website and the paper, get the process started, see what happens.
We good with that? Okay, can I have a motion on that just to cover my butt, Jeremy said?
To
Post,
post a job.
thank you. Do I have a second?
I get it.
Katrina makes the motion, David seconds, all in favor say aye. Aye, opposed?
I am opposed without a background check.
Okay, so motion passes 5-1. Last one that I have is, I sent it out to you guys. Fairgrounds is looking for help with gate help. They need help tremendously. I've shared it with staff as well. So please sign up for Fair Help. Anybody in the audience that wants to volunteer their time for our lovely Grant County Fair. It's a great time, brings the most amount of people into John Day that anything else does in the entire county. So please, if you have it in your schedule to share some time with the gate help, whether it's the rodeo or the fair or whatever, please get a hold of Mindy. She shared that. I sent the email with the sign up, but please. Okay, so get a hold of Mindy and she can, Winiger at the fairgrounds. Yep, absolutely. So please do what you can. Anything else? That's the last that I have. Oh, perfect. Casey Myers.
I was informed day before yesterday that street sweeping probably going to happen.
No.
Their street sweepers down. She is looking for them. Already.
So get out our brooms, is that what you're telling me?
We can get to full for fair, but she is very doubtful that she will have street
Okay.
We will continue to wash and try
Okay.
to get them at least decent looking for fair.
Okay.
See, the dust could, trucks could just stop kicking up dust. That would be.
Yeah,
great.
if you could fix that
Sure,
somehow,
okay.
Casey, come on, Superman, do
Well,
that,
I
please.
can if I stand on each end of town.
Okay, well, thank you for the update.
Thank you.
That sucks, but
Question about that.
yes, step on up. State your name and city, please.
Heather Swank, John Day. You know, the gravel is still there too from winter. It's all along the roads. It hasn't been done. And this isn't the first year I've noticed this. I mean, we live across from the John Day Post Office and the gravel has been there. And You know, I'd like to see that cleaned up, you know. I know, will the street cleaning do the job? Or one year we had people coming through and piling it up. They were coming along the edge of the road and sweeping it or shoveling it, and then they left piles, but they were never picked up. And that was a couple years ago at least. But the gravel has remained, you know. I don't feel that the streets have been cleaned enough.
Okay, thank
And
you.
I'm in a very, very, very used street there, you know, that street gets a lot of action. So that's one thing I have noticed, and I would really like to see something more done with that. One other issue is, we were talking about police, and just today and yesterday, we've had 2 vehicles racing down our street, from the light down towards the fairgrounds. This is not the first time, but just recently, 2 vehicles, and one of them did it twice, and the other one did it once, but, you know, it is a hot hazard, you know, someone's gonna get hurt. So that's it.
All right, thank you.
At one point, we saw a dark Charger stop in front of Dreamer's Lodge, rev its engine, and then race down the street. So, I mean, we need police. We need somebody that we can call to, you know, keep tabs on these things that are happening. I mean, we've got a lot of things going on in our town, and a lot of different people coming to our area. And these things need to be mentioned and taken into account.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Also, I will get out to you guys the homeless ordinance that Jeremy and myself and Savannah and Brock have been kind of reviewing. We took some of the other cities' ordinances that they're putting together. We will have a rough draft for you guys at the next council meeting. I'll get out to you before, but it'll be on the agenda for the council meeting. It will not probably go into effect, and we'll start the public hearing stuff until August, but I want to get it out to you guys. We have to, by state law, provide some area of space. And so today Savannah thought about the parking lot next to City Hall as a designated area due to the fact of it being surveillanced and monitored and can be recorded. Otherwise, Jeremy said the other place is the sidewalks. So it's either a lot of the city's property that we designate, or it's the sidewalks on a public street. So be looking up stuff on that stuff. It's a big deal. We have to, by law, in our ordinance, provide a space. We cannot just ban it across the entire city. It's against the law. It's effective July 1. So we have to come up with an area. Savannah was the one that thought of that area. So she shared that with Jeremy, and he thought that was a good it's not an ideal location anywhere, but it's a good location with the amount of traffic and the amount of check-in and all that kind of stuff, and just being right there by City Hall. That gravel lot next to us basically is city property, and so
And the law doesn't state we have to have a bathroom there.
Nope.
Anything, just has to be.
Just
You
have
have
to-
give the residents within 1,000 feet.
that would be part of the ordinance.
You're gonna have problems. Me being one.
Then it's sidewalks, and that, I mean, we have to designate an area in John Day. So if we don't designate a city property, then the state requires us to have sidewalks. So that is a discussion for the ordinance. Jeremy told me to be warned. It's been blowing up in every city that it's been started in, but unfortunately, if we don't have something in place, we cannot do anything. So that's a discussion that we need to have. We need to have plenty of public notices, public hearings, all that kind of stuff. But no, we do not have to have a warming station. We do not have to have a public restroom available, just a location. So just keep that in mind. I will get it out to you guys, but do know that that's in the agenda works for the month of August, because we need to get it done. Jeremy did try to get it done with Quorum last October and November, and Quorum told him that the city was not interested in any kind of ordinance, and so Jeremy did not move forward with it. So Rick had mentioned it to Jeremy, and I've mentioned it, and Sherry's mentioned it, and so we're gonna see what the community and the council wants to do with it.
Better place might be clear up on top of airport.
So you have to be within so many miles of of public assistance. You cannot
How
be,
many? Because I can tell you how many miles it is to the top of that hill.
I mean, we can look into it.
As
We
the
have to
crow
be,
flies.
I don't know if it's as a crow flies or there is,
I can tell you from the stoplight to there, in elevation.
so
Well,
that
just-
might be, yeah.
I'm just saying, we've got a lot of undeveloped acreage up there that's away from residential areas and
Mhm.
stuff.
We might
Or
run
it
into
would
some
have-
issue with some airport issues with commission stuff.
Where it would have less negative impact
Yeah.
on the public in general. I guess that's the only
Yeah.
reason I brought that spot up.
Yeah, no, I mean, we thought about it too, Savannah, and I brought that spot up because we have spot 2, but I know there's something in there and Jeremy's looking up what the mileage or parameter around that, but you have to be within certain amount of distance for public services. So we can look into it though. I'm all for looking into, so bring ideas, look up, please research the laws, research the regulations, research what we have to do, because we have to provide them a space. And currently we don't have any space provided and we don't have any jurisdiction over any of our public land. And so right now, as it states, we need to get something going. So in the works to be decided, hopefully we have a city manager to also do all that footwork behind it. All right, if there's no other comments from council, I would,
Motion to adjourn.
thank you, Dave, at 8:01. Dave makes the motion. Katrina seconds. All in favor of adjourning at 8:01. Thank you all.